Hi, everyone. My name is Steph Richter, and I'm the Director of Operations here at the Perk. And I'm so excited to talk to you guys today about how to work from home in a small space. So, I am working from home, which is a one-bedroom apartment, and I have two different kind of realities when I'm working from home. So, I do share the space with my boyfriend, Nico, and he is deemed an essential employee right now. So, he is going into work every day. So I share my space, but then I also am dealing with being alone all day, working from a small space by myself. And so today I'm going to walk through the tips that I have for both of those realities and dive into tips about working from home, working remotely from a small space like an apartment or a condo. So I have four main tips for when it comes to working from home when you're in a small space. And my first one is around setting expectations and boundaries. And when I'm talking about this, these are tips when it comes to sharing your space, sharing a small space with either a roommate, significant other, whoever you're sharing that space with. But when you do share the space with somebody, having expectations and boundaries is really important. And just being honest and transparent is just going to really be necessary when you're having any sort of conversations with the people that you're sharing your space with. And so when you're having these conversations, it's just really important to assume positive intent because the people that you are sharing your space with are likely not trying to distract you or disrupt you on purpose, even if they are playing their video games really loud, right? I had to talk to my boyfriend Nico about this. My desk is like literally right next to our living room, and he thought that since I had headphones in that I wouldn't, be able to hear him. It would be fine. And so he wasn't trying to do it on purpose. He specifically said, "Oh, I thought you with your headphones in, I thought it would be totally fine. I'm sorry." And so we just had to have a conversation around it, right? But I went into that conversation assuming positive intent and not necessarily going in like guns blazing, like what, what's wrong with you? You're distracting. So assuming positive intent, being honest and transparent, and just having the conversations as often as you need to. Having a set schedule is a must when it comes to expectations and boundaries. So if you don't have a set schedule, then there's nothing to communicate with the person that you're sharing your space with. And so I would just make sure that you are having, like Leah has talked about in other videos, having a morning stand up with your team, having a stand down, having these daily meetings is going to structure your day, so it's going to make it easier for you, but then it's also going to make it easier for the person that you're sharing your space with to understand the expectations of when you are able to be bothered or when you are available to be able to hang out with or whatever that might be. Having a set schedule is going to help with that so much. And I suggest talking through that schedule first thing in the morning or the night before, just to make sure that you're getting it all out there, right? Discussing meeting times, when you're available, and the plan for the day. So if you don't have that conversation, then there's no way for you guys to be able to share the space really in a way that works best for both of you. So just having that conversation every day is going to help out a lot. Having a dedicated workspace is really important as well. And it's important for a lot of reasons, but you really each need privacy and space that's specified to you. And so if you're working with somebody who you're sharing a space with who's also working from home right now, if possible, having each of you having a room with a door is going to be really ideal, right? Because of noise and just being able to concentrate and being separated and just being able to have your own space. That's what's going to work best. I don't have that. I don't have a big enough apartment where I am able to have a space with a door. So for me, what I do is have an agreed upon signal, or, using like sticky notes or whatever that is, that's saying, hey, I can't be disturbed, right? And this is not in place of having that conversation every day. It's kind of just like an added reminder that I am in a meeting right now, whether you're putting that on a sticky note on your desk or on the back of your chair. Or one of my friends was saying that her coworker wears like a fun hat whenever she can't be distracted. So you can make it fun too, but I'm going to cover more about dedicated workspaces in a little bit. But these are really, the important reasons for having the expectations and boundaries around your dedicated workspace. My next tip here is treating the day like you're not in the same space. So when you're sharing the space with someone, it's probably really easy just to be able to go walk over to them and just ask them a question, right? What do you want for dinner? Or are we having lunch together? Or, whatever the question might be. But I'm going to suggest that you just text them or leave them a message, whatever you would do if they were actually in the office. That way they can attend to the message on their own time. And it's not just an automatic distraction or disruption of what they're working on right now. And when you're having these conversations, I would just ask for the same back. Go over this with them and say, hey, I'm going to text you just like I would if we weren't in the same space. Can you do that for me? So just asking for that. And this is just going to really help with those boundaries in your space. And then my last tip around this is still give each other alone time. So obviously in a smaller space, you're going to have less privacy. That's not new, right? That's something that's always been there. But something that's important right now is even if you are in a common space, allow for alone time within that space. And the reason why I say this is because right now rooms are being used as a workspace and they're not necessarily being used for what they're meant for, right? So there's little space to unwind within your home. So still allowing for alone time is really, really important right now. So that was setting expectations and boundaries. And now I'm going to dive into how we can best minimize distractions in our small space. So my first tip here is just removing all visual distractions. And what that might look like is facing your desk away from whatever distracts you. So your bed, your fridge, whatever that might be. If you are facing your bed all day, you might have, the urge to just want to jump in and just take a nap at like 2 o'clock when you don't have a lot of energy. Right? Like that's something that you're gonna be staring at it. So it's gonna be a distraction. So I would say out of sight, out of mind, face your desk away from it. My other tip here is just no TV and no phone. So when you have the TV on in the background, you might think that it's going to be nice to have background noise, but it's just way more distracting than it is helpful. And then obviously if you have your phone next to you, that's just going to be something that's going to be distracting as well. So I would just take all of that away and just remove any visual distraction that you have in your space. My next tip here is do not lay in bed and work. You might think that it's going to be comfortable, it's going to be easy, you have a lot of space on your bed. It's not. I've tried this before. It does not work. Your back starts to hurt actually a lot sooner than you think it would. And it's just really hard for your brain to understand if you're supposed to be productive or if you're supposed to be like resting, right? And so if you're doing work in your bed, your brain is just really confused. So I would just say, just don't do that. Have a dedicated space for that, for your work. Using headphones is something that's really important just to minimize distractions. And it can also help you to listen to music where it's not distracting for others. So listening to music with your headphones could help you drown out any kind of background noise. And for me, sometimes I can't listen to music that has a lot of lyrics or words. So I've also found that instrumental music is really helpful for me too, when I'm like doing a task that I need to have intense focus on. And my current favorite, if you're looking for, somebody to follow and to listen to on Spotify, is Explosions in the Sky. So they have really good instrumental music and playlists that you can listen to. And it's overall just kind of better for meetings too, because you're not catching any of that background noise. You might think that, that your roommate is being really quiet or that they're not going to be able to hear the conversation that's going on in the other room. But it's just overall better to have the headphones plugged in, ideally ones that have a microphone so it's just picking up your voice and nothing that's going on around you. That's going to be really helpful for distractions for yourself and for anybody that you're on like a virtual meeting with. My next tip here is using benchmarks for breaks. So sometimes taking a break might seem a little bit distracting if you're running through all of these different things in your head that you could be doing. Taking breaks is really important, but what I would do is I would set some benchmarks before you take that break. So maybe it's I'm going to make 5 sales calls and then I'm going to go check my mail, or I'm going to clear out my inbox and then I'm going to go take a walk around the block because it just got so nice outside, right? So still taking the breaks, but being productive and having a benchmark so that it's not a distraction and you're able to still take that break, prevent the burnout, which is really important right now. And my last tip is still meal prep. So the reason why I bring this up is because you might have the distraction to kind of snack all day, right? Like your fridge is so close. I'm literally looking at mine right now. And being able to lessen that distraction is an easy way to do that is just by meal prepping, treating it like you're going into the office, right? Having your lunch prepped, having your snacks prepped, being able to just go and grab those or have them in your workspace is going to be something that is going to minimize that distraction of wanting to just maybe snack all day. So that was minimizing distractions. And now I'm going to talk about optimizing the space. So a really important tip here for optimizing your small space is try to use a desk. I've been a remote first employee working, remotely from my house for a couple of months now, like since August. So it's been a while. And I used to just work at my breakfast bar because I thought that I didn't need a desk, honestly. I was like, it's fine. We don't use the breakfast bar that much. I'm still going to be able to go to coffee shops, which obviously I can't do that anymore. Or I'm going to be able to go to Leah and Dan's house for meetings. So I'm still going to be able to, not necessarily always be at home. So I don't need a dedicated space, right? I was proved wrong very fast. I hated having to always like pack up my stuff, put it away. I didn't have a dedicated space. It really wasn't working well. So what I did was I went on Amazon and I just found a nice small desk that was inexpensive and fit well within our space. So this is just a desk that I could squeeze in between my dining room area to the right and my living room area to the left. I didn't have to, move that much. I really just had to move the table over a little bit. And finding it on Amazon, it was less than $100. It came in like 3 pieces. All I had to do was snap it together. And it's just a really great way to have a dedicated space within my house to be able to go to work, right? To be able to have a space to go to work, and having that desk and having it set up in the way that I want it it works way better for me. And then I would say make it visually appealing or comfy for your workspace. And what I mean by that is just think about what gives you energy or what motivates you and kind of put that into your workspace, put that on your desk. For me, that's bright colors and motivational quotes. So that's how my desk is set up right now. And if you think about it, hopefully your office space is a space that gives you energy or motivates you. Try and recreate that in your house. And that'll just really help with the way that you're feeling and probably your productivity as well. I would say an added bonus is trying to be by a window for some fresh air, for some natural light. Mine isn't like directly by a window, but I'm close enough where I still get some good natural light in, and I can definitely say it makes a difference when it's like a nice sunny day and I have some natural light coming into my room where I have my desk. My next tip here is just reducing clutter. So obviously reducing clutter is important for a small space in general, but my tip around this for a workspace is just having what you need in your space just for your current task at hand. And if you know that you're going to need extra resources or extra things later for a different project or task, just leave them aside until you're ready for them. You don't want to make your space seem even smaller, your workspace seem even smaller by having all of this clutter around. So I would just have just what you need for what you're working on right then and there. And then my last tip around this is just take a break when you're feeling overwhelmed. So we have been in this, working from home, staying at home order now I've been doing this for 4 weeks. So I've definitely felt overwhelmed by the small space for sure. So if you're feeling that too, like I've been there, trust me, it's totally normal. And what I've done is just kind of gotten out of the space, grabbed a drink of water, and just removed myself from that space and gotten out of it because I just found that there's really no way for me to power through when I'm feeling that that overwhelm that I'm feeling when I'm in that space. And so if it's nice enough out, I'll go outside, I'll walk around the block, but just being able to get out of that headspace when you do feel overwhelmed is really important. So allowing yourself the space to do that. So that's my tips on how to optimize your space. And next, I'm going to dive into some daily habits and how to incorporate those. So trying to maintain your normal, I think, is really important when you're working from a small space, as much as possible, right? There's some things that we just can't do right now, but trying to calibrate that for your current normal and what you are able to do is just really important. So for example, I'm used to working out at boutique fitness studios like Cycle Bar and Orange Theory. I used to do that like 5 times a week. And I'm a person who likes to work out in the middle of the day. So that would kind of break up my day. And it was, part of my routine, and it was part of my work routine as well. So now that I'm not able to step foot in those studios, I'm running outside. I'm finding my home workouts that I can do, from Instagram or YouTube. I'm still trying to recreate that and maintain my normal, because I find that when I'm able to exercise, I have better energy. I'm more creative. I'm more productive after I work out. So just trying to maintain your normal with the things that you used to do within your workday, still doing that from your space as much as possible. Taking breaks is really important. So I'm going to say that you should take more breaks than you would when you were in your office, because right now you're just staring at your computer, you're at your desk, you're at your workspace. You're not getting to walk around the office to different spaces for meetings or to grab coffee or just to pop in to say hello, right? You're used to getting away from your screen and just kind of giving your brain a little bit of a break, whether you realized it or not. So what I like to do is kind of schedule them in my day, but I like to still stay flexible. So I try and take one in the morning, one around lunchtime, and then one in the afternoon. But if I'm feeling like overwhelmed, like I was just talking about, or if I can just tell that my body needs a break because I've been working, focusing really intensely on a task or a project, then I'm staying flexible with that. And I'll still give myself that break when I know I need it. And my last note here is just getting outside for at least one of them. Now, I said that I'm running outside, and I've mentioned getting outside a couple of times, but I'm not like a huge outdoors person. I'm not like a camper. I don't go hiking. But for me right now, and I think it's because I'm in a small space, being outside, having fresh air, getting some sunlight, just seeing other people from afar or seeing other buildings, that is just really helping me out a lot right now. So I would just suggest, just try it. Just try getting outside for one of your breaks, even if it's just, to walk around the block just once. And just see how you feel after you do that. That might give you more energy, or it might get you out of that overwhelmed state from being in a small space. My next tip here is to find an end of the workday ritual. So my friend brought this tip up to me, and I thought it was so important, and it's something that I've tried to work in now to my normal. But trying to find a way to allow my brain to shut down, just to shut down from work for the day, right? So maybe that's a short walk, or prepping for dinner, or hopping on like a call with a friend. Whatever that is for you, we're basically trying to recreate what you had in a commute. So when you were done with your workday and you came home, or you went to the gym, or wherever you went after work, that was your way for your brain to understand that, okay, my workday is done, and now I'm moving on to whatever is next, right? But right now, with working from home, those lines are blurring a lot. So being able to have a ritual that is just a way to signify to your brain, okay, my workday is done, now I get to relax. That's going to make a big difference. And then kind of on that same note, having an end of the work week ritual, right? As a daily habit, a weekly habit. So because I can't remember what day of the week it is anymore, I'm sure a lot of people can't, your brain doesn't know that your work week is over. So you need to have a way to signify that. And my friend who shared this tip with me, she said that they do Friday night is their takeout night. And so that's their way to, signify, okay, we made it through the week. We get to enjoy our Friday night, and then we get our 2 days of break of rest in the weekend, right? Because taking your weekend is still really important to prevent burnout. But having that way to just understand that it's Friday night because it might feel like any other night of the week right now. So having a fun way to go ahead and just say, okay, made it through a work week, my weekend's here. So those are my kind of daily habits and how to best incorporate those um, into every day if possible, right? And my last little set of tips here. So I did say at the beginning that I share my space, but I also am isolated during the day because I'm working from home by myself, right? So there are some of us who are working from home completely alone. And you might feel isolated and lonely some days. And you also might feel isolated and lonely one day and feel totally fine the next day. And just know that that's normal, right? I go through that every day, every week. I have different feelings around being at home and working alone. But just know that social connection is so crucial right now, right? Being able to hop on a virtual call, being able to connect with people in video calls, whether that's in work or with your friends, right? Whatever that is, it's just really crucial right now. Um, I will say another just like tip that I have for being home alone is using a white noise machine or listening to music. So for me, I cannot do like just dead silence. And so I talked about like, listening to music before with maybe listening to instrumental music if you aren't one that likes to have lyrics or words, but a white noise machine works really well too. I have one of those that I use. So I'll go between either of those. But it makes a huge difference in just my energy and my productivity, honestly, if I'm able to have something on around me so it's not so dead silent in here. Like right now, it's so weird. I'm used to having music on, so having this dead silence is very weird to me. And then I would just say, if you're not one who's working at home alone, for those people, check in on your team members who are, right? Check in with those people, talk about work, talk about things that have nothing to do with work. Just give them a way, give us a way to feel socially connected because you might not realize that they're lonely, right? So just being able to reach out is gonna make a huge difference. And just don't forget about us. And most team members are really good about doing this. Dan and Leah are so good at this. I see them twice a day, which is really nice. So sometimes I don't really feel like I'm alone. But I just kind of wanted to walk through these because there are some good tips around remote work and isolation if you're not sharing your space with somebody else. So those are the tips that I have for you guys. Make sure that you go to our website, choosetheperk.com, or look at any of our other YouTube videos to get just tips on remote work. We also do a lot of live webinars too for free. So make sure you're checking us out there. And if you have any questions about working from a small space or sharing your space or anything like that, go ahead and feel free to email me at steph@choosetheperk.com. But I hope that you guys have a great day and I will talk to you soon. Bye.